Wood paneling covered more American walls than almost any other surface for about 30 years. Then it disappeared in roughly 10, and most of what disappeared was never wood at all. Start with the room. It was rarely the living room. The living room had the good furniture, the carpet with the vacuum track still in it, and a general understanding that you didn't sit in there. The paneled room was the other one, the den, the rec room, the finished half of the basement. It had the television, the sofa that had given up somewhere around 1974, a card table that never quite got folded away, and the particular warm, close smell of a room built slightly below grade. That was the room where the family actually lived. And the walls were brown. If you were born before about 1980, you don't need this described to you. You already know the sound those walls made when you knocked on them, hollow, papery, nothing like plaster. You know the vertical grooves. You know that one panel near the corner where the seam didn't quite line up, and that nobody ever fixed it, and that after a while nobody saw it anymore. Here's the part most people never knew. You weren't looking at wood, you were looking at a photograph of wood. Paneled walls are genuinely old. Long before America existed, European homes were lining their rooms with heavy oak and pine, Tudor halls, Gothic interiors, thick carved timber that held the heat in a stone building through a long winter. That paneling was a mark of money. It took a joiner months, and only the wealthy had months of a joiner's time to buy. The American version was the opposite of that, and that's exactly why it won. The change came from plywood. Thin layers of wood, glued with the grain running crosswise, pressed into a sheet that was stronger than the tree it came from and a fraction of the weight. The industry scaled up through the post-war building boom. And by 1964, when Georgia-Pacific opened the first southern pine plywood mill in Fordyce, Arkansas, the business had gone fully national. Paneling landed at a price an ordinary family could pay. And by then, manufacturers had stopped bothering with real wood on the surface at all. The grain was printed, a photograph of walnut or oak or mahogany, reproduced onto paper and bonded to a plywood or hardboard backing, then coated in a hard finish. Some panels were textured, so the printed grain had grooves you could feel that didn't correspond to any actual tree. It was a picture of a forest, sold by the sheet 4 feet by 8. The brand names are almost a poem now: Royal Coat, Styleboard, Lionite, Yorktown, Provincetown, Shoreline Oak. Marlite made a baked finish hardboard that shrugged off moisture and heat, which sent paneling into kitchens and bathrooms, places actual wood had no business being. The advertising is where you really hear the era talking. Georgia-Pacific sold a product called Boldcrest, with deep half-inch channels cut every 16 inches, and the pitch was that you'd fill those channels with colored tape, match your carpet, match your drapes, match, and this is in the ad copy, a party theme. You could also run fabric through them, or metal strips. The possibilities they promised were endless. Another campaign put it more plainly: it goes up easier than wallpaper, and it lasts a house time without care, without maintenance. A house time, they made up a word for it. That's the real reason paneling took the country. It wasn't fashion, it was arithmetic. A man could buy a stack of sheets on Friday afternoon and have a finished room by Sunday night. No plastering, no sanding, no primer, no 2 coats, no drop cloths, no waiting for anything to dry. Adhesive and a few finish nails, and a basement that had been bare block that morning was a family room by evening. And it forgave everything underneath. Cracked plaster, water stains, a wall that had been patched 4 times by 4 different people, all of it gone behind a surface that arrived already finished. For a generation of homeowners doing their own work, in houses that were older than their budget, that was close to magic. There's something else in it too, something quieter. These were families who could not afford a room panelled in real walnut, in a country where a walnut panelled study meant you had arrived, so they bought the picture of it, $10 a sheet, and the den looked like a study. That's not a joke at their expense. That's most of what the American middle class was built out of. Then it stopped. Fast. The 80s came in bright. After a decade of brown and avocado and harvest gold, Colors that had felt like warmth and nature and coming home. The whole national eye swung the other direction. Pastels, white walls, glass block, mirrored surfaces, high-gloss laminate. Memphis design with its squiggles and its hard plastic edges. Light poured back into the American interior, and it did not want to land on a dark brown wall. Paneling didn't lose an argument. It lost the light, and it picked up a label along the way, the fastest, cruelest word in American design. Dated, not ugly, not broken, just clearly from before. Realtors started listing homes as having original paneling in the tone you'd use for a leak. So it went. Millions of square feet of it, painted over. That was the standard treatment through the 90s and after. 2 coats of white straight onto the printed grain. And here's the thing, the grooves stayed. You can still read them. Drive through any older neighborhood, walk into a basement, and look for the shallow vertical lines under the white paint every 16 inches. That's a gold crest wall. Somebody's father put it up on a weekend, and somebody's daughter painted it out 30 years later, and it's still down there under both of them. The rest got torn out entirely and hauled to the curb, and a photograph of a walnut tree that never existed went into a landfill. The strange thing about wood paneling is that it was never dishonest exactly. Everybody knew. Nobody in 1972 believed their basement was solid walnut. The panel wasn't pretending to be a tree. It was doing something more modest, standing in for one cheaply, so a room could feel finished and warm, and yours on a budget that had no room in it for a joiner. The wall was fake. What happened in front of it wasn't. The homework, the card games, the television that stayed on too late, the birthdays, the arguments, the long, dull, comfortable evenings that add up to most of a life. We threw out the surface. It's fair to wonder whether we understood what it was holding. It's still there in a few million basements, 1 coat of white away from the light. And every so often somebody strips it back, sees that printed grain come up out of the paint, and stands there for a second longer than they meant to, because they know that room.